Hi, I'm Rachel Abbasi. Welcome to the Recovery Daily Podcast. As always, thanks for spending time with me. Hello, good morning. Today's a big day, huge day. Today is my 10-year anniversary. Thank you. I'm so excited. I've been very reflective this morning and I went to a couple meetings already and it's just in a way it's almost better than a birthday. Um, and I remember in early sobriety having people say that and I was like, well, how can it be better than a birthday? But it really is. I mean, it's a rebirth day, really. And so today's topic that I want to talk about is I'm as happy as I allow myself to be. And looking back over 10 years, it is a decade of sobriety, but it's a day at a time. And it is a transformation, a decade of transformation. It's a decade of commitment. It's a decade of change. It's a decade of self-awareness. And happiness is, it's something that I've allowed myself to feel. I no longer am searching for happiness outside of me. Progress, not perfection, right? So I have days that I'm looking, right? But I know from experience that happiness is something um, that is always here if I allow myself to have it. And it I can unearth that, like I can bring it to the surface. I always say surface joy, not fine joy. Um, and I do a terrible job of distinguishing between joy and happiness. It really I feel like happiness is short term and joy is long term. That's the only distinguishment that I feel, and I don't know what Merriam-Webster's dictionary would say about the difference between the two. I don't care, but the way that I feel, there's so many tools that have given me that feeling of control of what's within my fingertips. Like I always say, I can't control anything outside of my fingertips. Well, I can control mm, joy. I'm tripping over words. I can control when I choose to be happy. I woke up this morning and I feel terrible. Um, and that's because my husband and I went to see a play on Sunday, and that's one of the reasons I didn't record yesterday. Um, and it's just a lot. It's a lot of focusing on something for 3 hours. There's also the lighting is very unusual for me, so it takes a lot out of me. And so I've felt I have a straight up headache. I usually have this underlying headache. This is getting to be more on the migraine-y side. So I'm pretty close to the end of the month, which is also when I do my injection. But so what is my point was not to tell you how shitty I feel, but to tell you that I still have a choice whether I'm going to feel joyful today or I'm going to sit in the poor me pity party. Um, I used to feel like in early sobriety that if I could just figure everything out, then I would feel happy. Then I would feel okay. And as time went on, there are two things that happened in sobriety. One is that the things in my life that were difficult started to work themselves out as I continued to just keep walking forward. And during that time that I was walking forward and things were, I don't honestly, just life continues. And sometimes that's frustrating that life continues, but it's also a gift that life continues. And as I work on myself and I become more self-aware and I figure out, like, use my feeling and emotion wheel and identify, name what I'm feeling so that I can process it, so that I can talk about it, like all of those things that I'm working on inside of me. While that's happening, life is happening. And another gift is that thank God I can't see the whole picture. Can't Thank God I can't see what's gonna happen. Like, um, it can be frustrating also, like being in early sobriety and thinking, like, there's a lot of folks in early sobriety who are facing legal charges, lots of court dates, lots of disputes with family, with spouses. Some lose lose custody of their children. Like, there's so many difficult things that happen that bring us here, bring us to that point where we decide that we need to get sober and stay sober, and that none of us come to AA on a high. Usually we're at a low and we're trying to figure out what are we going to do with all the rough stuff that's going on in our lives. And I mentioned in a previous episode, I think last week, and I also mentioned in my meeting this morning, that when we get to that point where we're feeling like we're at a dead end, kind of like I did when I had my stroke and I needed to leave my job and I felt like I was a dead end, that I'm starting to see once again that it was really a repositioning. It was a repositioning of my life that I didn't choose. And thank God I couldn't see the whole picture before I had my stroke of where I was going to be. Um, Even though you kind of I wish I knew this was going to happen to me, because this is how I would have prepared for it. But thank God I can't see it all. If I could, I might try to control it and I would want things to go differently. And honestly, I don't think things could be going any better if I had chosen the direction that my life would have gone. Um, it is the simplicity of learning how to walk blindfolded, where I can't see the whole path, that saves me, that allows me to just show up. That's all I need to do on a daily basis, is just show up and to walk, to follow the principles of the program. Um, I don't need to know what the grand plan is for my life. I make daily decisions, and I'm so grateful for the fact that this program so far has really stuck to me like glue. Um, I can't think my way out of my problems. I can't. Um, what I can do is look inward and figure out, what are these problems making me feel? Am I angry? Am I scared? Am I frustrated? Am I jealous? Like all of these problems, it's the emotions that I'm feeling that I need to deal with. A lot of times, like I said, like life is just going to keep happening. And my mind is what got me drunk. Uh, Overthinking things is not going to lead me to the solution. Moving a muscle, it's a move a muscle, change a thought. That helps a lot in when I'm stuck in my head, when I'm stuck between my ears. But what I what really helps me is to know when to stay still. Um, in early sobriety, like the boredom, the fear, all of the stuff that I was facing that was hard, I found that I needed to move a muscle in order to not pick up a drink. So I would do things like um, flea market flipping. That was a big thing for me. I would just grab some piece of furniture and start sanding it. Like that's what helped me stay focused and keep moving in the right direction, like to stay on the path, to keep walking. But what I have found, the as I've been in sobriety for this many years, is that sometimes standing still while life keeps moving is what helps me. I hope that makes sense. So, like, I'm standing still, but I'm not just swimming in my feelings. I'm allowing them to happen and naming them and talking about them. And I have found a lot of times, more so even in the past couple years than ever before, that my fears and my obsessions and all of that actually I'm trying to think of the word, actually like disintegrate over time when I stay still and I talk about them. One of my meetings this morning, I went to two of them. Somebody brought up the idea of letting go, letting things go, hard stuff. And in early sobriety, and I've talked a lot about the God box and how I really had no idea how to let something go. I needed to just analyze the shit out of something so that I felt like the more I understood it, the more I would be able to accept it, or the more I would be able to change it or control it. And so I didn't understand how do you let something go? How do you perform the action of letting something go when you're not physically moving or doing anything? How do you mentally let something go? And that's where the God box was helpful for me because it actually allowed me to translate the idea of letting something go into a physical action. So I could control getting my God box out, writing the person's name or the thing down that I needed to let go of, that I needed to stop obsessing about, the thing that was stealing my serenity. I write it down and put it inside the box. And that was a demonstration of handing something over, of letting it go, of really acknowledging that my feelings, my thoughts are not controlling the outcome, no matter how passionate I am about it, no matter how upset I am about it. Um, I don't need to understand it in order for life to carry on, for the thing to change. Letting go is not giving up on it. It's like recognizing lack of control, recognizing that um, I am not God. Like I, I can't, I can't move the chess pieces, no matter how hard I will it. I can't do anything about it. So acknowledging that I need to take life on life's terms and just keep walking. It sounds so simple, but I find that when I say just keep walking, it's like even standing still is walking through the thing. Um, Sometimes walking through the thing is me going outside for a walk. Like whatever I need to do that helps me burn off the emotion, because the emotion isn't going to change anything. Um, what I know today, celebrating a decade of sobriety, that's amazing, is that I wouldn't be here without where I used to be, where I was. And one of the things that I learned in sobriety is that we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. And the past is not something to be erased. The past is a foundation for the present and the future. So I have learned through practicing my program and the steps that the past, the struggle is something to be grateful for and something that I shouldn't live in, but I should remember. Um, my breaking point, like what was the low? What was the thing that really turned things around for me? It was not good. It's not a good thing to remember. Um, my daughter called me this morning to wish me a happy anniversary, because she's up early. And she was telling me, how much she loves me. I'm the best mom. I've always been the best mom, and all of these wonderful things. Um, and she said, "You've come so far." And I said, "Do you remember though? Do you remember what it was like?" There's a moment in my memory where I was laying in my bed and I was terribly sick, like nauseous. And my mom had come over. It was morning. I mean, who knows? Like when I wasn't drinking, it was morning, and I had just woken up. So who knows what time it actually was? I feel like it must have been like 11 or noon, even if my mom had come over. So she was in my neighborhood. So she had come over, and she was standing in the bedroom, and she said, Rachel, you have to get your shit together, and you need to get up. Rachel, you need to get up. And my daughter was standing in the doorway, and she was watching this. And I was feeling like a victim. I was feeling like I can't get up. I'm sick. I was looking for something else to blame for how I felt. I wasn't looking at the alcohol as the problem. I was looking at myself as the problem. I was looking at my problems being the problem, if that makes sense. Um, I was not allowing myself to live. I wasn't allowing myself to walk through the problems. My problems were breaking me down. My problems were what was heavy on me, laying on top of me in that bed. That's why I couldn't get up, because of my problems. Um, And that day I wasn't even willing to surrender or see the truth back then. And I asked Bailey, do you remember that? And she really wanted to say you've come so far. She really wanted to look at today, like where you are today. And I was just thinking of that while I was talking to her, but the importance of being able to look back in order to see how far that I've come. Um, when I'm going through a difficult time, say my stroke, for example, um, it's hard to see in that moment, in that season of life, that season is going to be one of the most meaningful seasons to be able to reflect back on. Um, when I'm in the hard stuff and I feel like, well, this is something I need to let go of. This is something I'm obsessing about. This is something that I'm scared, I'm fearful, I'm nervous. Like when I'm in that thing, I cannot see that that thing is is going to be a moment of reflection in the future. That hard thing is going to be something that gives me perspective in the future. I want the perspective now. I want I want to be able to just make that thing go away. But I need that thing to have perspective later. The perspective comes later. Um, so that thing, that hard thing, is a gift. It's the only way that I am developing that ability to see that is trust, is to trust and experience, to be able to like look at my stroke and look back on it and be like, I wouldn't be where I am without that stroke. It was the hardest moment of my life. It's debatable. It's debatable um, whether the low for my alcoholism and my stroke were which was worse, which I felt most hopeless through. But that those moments of hopelessness matter, and it's through experience that I can see how much they matter. And the trust, I believe, is still developing. I talk about that all the time. Like the trust is challenging still for me. Um, but what I do know today is that I no longer want to stop feeling. Um, Feeling is not the problem. Avoiding the feeling is the problem. Avoiding the feeling through drinking is what made the problems stay. I was not walking. As soon as I put alcohol in my body, I'm not walking. I'm not walking through the problem. I'm avoiding the feeling that the problem is causing. And now I know through, again, I can't stress enough progress, not perfection, but now I know like that even though I'm feeling something negative or scary or anxious, I know that as human beings, we have the ability to feel more than one emotion at a time. And of course, I know intellectually, I know that, but it was talking with my psychiatrist about it that made me realize that I can feel pain and happiness at the same time. I can wake up in the morning and feel like shit and still be joyful. That's an amazing accomplishment for sure. Um, so it's not just sobriety that has introduced that concept to me. It is the program. It is, I need to rely on outside help, professional help, in order to deal with all of these complex emotions. That emotional sobriety is is really the key to physical sobriety. Um, to be able to feel the feelings without running, to be able to feel pain without running away from it. That's how I allow myself to feel more than pain, allow myself to feel complex emotions. If I am just running from the pain by drinking, I'm not giving myself a chance to feel happy. Um, happiness is is starts with willingness. Um, if I'm turning away from my life, I'm not willing to look for the good. Um, happiness for me isn't circumstantial. I heard somebody say this morning, I'm as happy as I allow myself to be. And and that is so true for me. Like the barriers to happiness are my fears and my need to control. And when I just take my hands off the wheel, when I open my arms up, like I like to say, I stop clenching my fists and trying to control, holding on to nothing, squeezing to hold on to nothing. When I just open my fists and open my arms and trust, that is when I'm allowing myself to feel happy. I'm no longer resisting life and I'm welcoming whatever's going to happen. And what that looks like daily for me is just showing up even when I don't want to. Letting go, practicing letting go. Sometimes I have to practice letting go over and over and over again in one day. Sometimes I can spend a whole hour focused on letting go. Um, but also if I'm repeatedly trying to let something go, then maybe there's something more I need to look at. Maybe I need to pick up the phone and talk to my sponsor or a friend or write it down and bring it to my psychiatrist. And that's when I'm taking action. That's what it looks like daily for me. I have the ability to use this podcast as a sort of journal for myself. And that is also a way that I am taking action. I try to be consistent. Those of you who are longtime listeners know that I have become less consistent. I was thinking of this last night. I was working on a project, a secret project that, and I was thinking about my podcast and I was like, I have become so inconsistent with the podcast. I used to record it every day and I continue to beat myself up for being inconsistent. And I'm almost doing it on purpose now. I'm purposely trying to give myself the grace to be inconsistent. I don't know how to be inconsistent without beating myself up. So I want to be able to rest like yesterday on days that I don't feel good. I'm so used to forcing myself to do things despite the pain, that I'm not allowing myself to recover adequately when I need to. Um, so the inconsistency, I think we're at about recording about 3 times a week. That's what it seems to be ironing out to. And that should be great, right? That should be fine. A lot of people do like once a month or once a week, like 3 times a week. That's a big deal. So I'm allowing myself to be inconsistent, which is funny, when my sobriety has worked on consistency. But I want to embrace that progress, not perfection. I want to embrace the idea that I can practice these principles, even like that, I need to be consistent about. But something like some of these self imposed goals or requirements are things that I need to loosen my grip on a little bit. I have no intention of ever stopping this podcast, ever. I really don't. So rest assured that it is, I believe, a key part of my life, to be able to come here and talk about my fears, my frustrations, letting go, not being perfect, and being honest. Like being able to be honest is a big deal these days. And um, I wanted to mention also that lately, when I go onto Facebook to post something, I don't allow myself to look around very much because it hurts my head. So whatever shows up, like in the first like 3 posts, I will read them. If they're short enough for me to, if they're long, I can't read them. It's too hard for my head. But I've noticed that a lot of the ones that are coming up for me are people who are being open and honest and vulnerable in their posts on Facebook. And it's just interesting how the algorithm connects us to people, because if I was able, so what's going to happen is if I continue to like what they say, they are always going to show up for me and I'm never going to see anybody else's posts. But I don't know. It's just interesting that every time I show it, open up Facebook, I see people being honest and vulnerable about what they're going on in their lives. And it makes me feel more comfortable doing what I do. So we will close it up for the day. I have no idea what I'm doing today for my 10-year anniversary, but I do have a friend that's coming to visit me tomorrow. I'm really excited about that, and I'm sure my husband and I will do something special for dinner. But 10 years later, I know that I don't have to have everything figured out. Um, I know that I don't need to know what life is going to bring me in the next 10 years. All I need to do is show up, right? All I need to do is the thing that I have been consistent about for the past 10 years, and that is when my eyes open in the morning, I need to remind myself that I'm a grateful recovering alcoholic and stroke survivor. And I'm super grateful for second and third chances, and for the loved ones that are around me, and for you guys showing up and clicking play. It means the world to me. It does a lot for my sobriety. You have no idea. So thanks for joining me today, and I will talk to you next time.